And welcome back to coverage here of the Innistrad Championship. Marshall Sutcliffe with Paul Gian. Paul, we've got the upper semis all lined up here for you this round. We're going to be focusing in on Akaike playing against Görtzen in a pretty cool matchup here. There's a lot of Golgari food in our top 8, but not in this particular match. This is Jeskai creativity in the hands of Yo, and Simon has brought Izzet Phoenix and a fairly aggressive version of it as well, Paul.
Yeah, so there are a lot of different win conditions you can choose to play kind of in the Phoenix deck, and the one drop that Simon has chosen to play is Delver of Secrets, in addition to that Dragon's Rage channel that everybody, of course, plays 4 copy of. Now, it's an interesting choice, right? It's a 1-drop, but at the same time, this deck, it's not like Legacy Delver. There's no Ponder, there's no Brainstorm, there's no way to actually set the top card of your library and put an instant on top. So basically what you're saying is, I'm going to play this Delver, at some point it's going to flip and it's going to be a big evasive threat.
That's right. And of course you do give yourself that chance to just kind of bink it, right? Like we see here for Simon, there's a Delver in the opener. Simon has kept, and that means that we could just see, oh, I flipped it, and bang, you start hitting for 3, and all of a sudden you've got a great clock. Now, down for Yo, they have a decent opener as well. Hard Evidence, Prismari Command, Fire Prophecy, and Mizzix's Mastery. None of the top-end fireworks there quite yet to go with the Mastery, but nice little setup. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that they're missing here is really that creativity. This is actually kind of the ideal type of hand that you want if you're on this deck. The fact that you do have that Fire Prophecy and Prismari Command means that you will have some interaction early to deal with some of Simon's early threats. Because of course, as the game goes longer, right? As the game goes longer, Yo, all they need to do is try to set up that 2-card combo where basically you cast a creativity for 2, get 2 Sarah's Emissaries in play, name creature and instant, and that'll effectively lock Görtzen out of basically finding a way to win the game.
That's right. We see a Consider here from Simon. And he finds Steam Vents is his draw step, so no flippy here for the Delver. Simon's going to go ahead and send it in anyway. You know, he does play Pillar of Flame, maybe just looking to threaten getting the crab off the table, but that's not going to be the play here, it looks like.
Yeah,
He's and play Steam Vents and say go.
And unlike some of the older versions of creativity, you know, back when Velomachus into Time Warp was a thing, that deck, you know, didn't have a ton of ways to turn on your Indomitable creativity. That's not the case with this deck. If you lose your crab, not really a big deal. Right. There's plenty of ways to make tokens with Magma Opus, Unexpected Windfall, and Prismari Command.
And here's Scry 1 draw card for Simon on end step. Yo, with Fire Prophecy at the ready here for the Delver of Secrets, they can decide to wait. And it looks like that's what they're going to do as we see the Delver trigger go on the stack. It's another land, though, in the hand here for Simon. And now we mentioned it, with no way to manipulate the top card of your library, you're kind of at the mercy of it. And what are you, 40% or something like that to hit it?
Yeah, it's not very... Oh, and Simon needed a really good looting here, and this was the worst possible.
Yeah, he'll be thrilled that those lands aren't on top of his library, but goodness sakes. Just flooding out here.
Yeah, and the key here for Simon is to have that clock, and just doesn't have it here. So a lot of time here for Yo to really try to put together their combo.
Yeah, the only damage that Yo's taken from Steam Vents. All right, Delver of Secrets is going to smash into that crab one more time. Are we going to see Fire Prophecy to just take that threat off the battlefield? Yes, we are. And one of the Mizzix's Mastery can go in the graveyard, no problem. And land off the top, though, for Yo means that they're also flooding a little here. Perhaps some flood protection with Raugrin Triumph, though, off the top of the library.
Yeah, you see the Triumph. And you also, of course, have the Prismari Command, right? I think a common mode here is just loot to find your combo, and also make an additional token for an extra target for Indomitable creativity.
Yeah, you mentioned it before. There's finally an Arclight Phoenix, though.
Well, we're pretty far away from Yeah, we're pretty far away from 3 spells. I wonder if
Yeah.
if you are even considering maybe just casting the Phoenix.
Yeah, that does look to be the case here as Simon's going to ditch the Ox of Agonis and just to try to fill up the graveyard enough because that would be totally fine here. Looks like 8 cards total in the yard right now, so there'll need to be one more, but you know, getting rid of these redundant lands for Görtzen probably seems just fine.
And Yo's gonna get to digging here.
Yeah, so they're going to draw 2, discard 2, and make a treasure as you described, Paul. And it's land and expressive iteration there for Yo. Not bad.
Just yeah, continuing to filter and dig. Gonna get to see 4 cards on their turn here.
Simon having a very, very bad draw so far this game. Yo, not exactly an exceptional draw either, but certainly progressing better than what Simon's got going on, which is nothing.
Yeah.
Ooh, there's some business. Indomitable creativity
Jeez.
and a Pact of Negation to perhaps protect the combo.
Yeah, and
Against the Phoenix deck, I don't know. Do you even need the Pact for anything?
you do, well, not
They
game
don't run
one.
counters, right?
No, yeah, not game one. Some decks play 1 copy of Mystical Dispute. I believe Takahashi might have had one in his main. But after sideboard is where the Pact is more relevant, where the Phoenix decks can then bring in some numbers of negates and Mystical Disputes and stuff like that. But I think Yo basically has this, right? Simon has no interaction, and we're going to see a creativity here for... Oh, jeez.
I mean, Simon's just thinking, well, if I'm just going to bring back this Ox anyway, I may as well get this extra card in the yard so I can do it.
Right, and if Simon can find 2 spells even, you get to get in for 3 here with the Phoenix, but I mean, Yo's still just only going down to 11 here. Then we're going to see a creativity here for 2 to lock out Simon from casting creatures and spells.
Huh. He actually got there, too. He found Fading Hope and Pillar of Flame.
Yeah, so you can bounce the crab and 2 to the face and attack for 3.
Yep.
Yep.
And then probably have to just extend the hand at that point for game 1 here as Yo Akaike looking very good. A lot of setup from Yo, right? They have to sit there and kind of fiddle around and, you know, draw 2, discard 2, and put together the permanents on the board and then finally find the indomitable creativity. But that's exactly what happened. And Yo had so much extra time to do so as Simon wasn't able to apply pressure that they're going to be able to just kind of cleanly go off here. And in game 1, it's a green light for Yo.
The really nice thing about this creativity deck, though, is the fact that it does have a lot of interaction. It's really good at kind of survive. It kind of just plays out as a control deck. And then this is kind of the finisher, right? You see decks that play Torrential Gearhulk and Teferi. Well, Indomitable Creativity plus Emissary is this deck's version of that.
Mm-hmm. And in this case, it'll be Emissaries, as one actually did end up in hand here, but there's 2 more in the floating around in the library somewhere to grab with Indomitable Creativity. It's the only creatures in there, so those are what will get hit. Görtzen's deciding, is there anything I can do with Fading Hope here?
Can't bounce
No.
artifacts here, so...
You know, opened a slight door there for Yo to make a mistake by targeting.
I mean, even if these Sarah emissaries had no text on them, I think Yo's still favored, right? you got 2/7/7
for the Flyers. Yeah, that's definitely not the worst. Unholy Heat is the draw step, but as you saw, Instant was named by one of them. And Yo Akaike is looking fantastic here in the first game, and that's going to be it for the first game. Yo picks up the win. They're going to be one of the good to make it into the upper finals. These players both got to breathe a sigh of relief after last round as they secured their seat at the World Championship. That was kind of one of the big inflection points here in the tournament, right? You got to think about round 15 trying to make to the top 8. You get over that. Then you come in and you have a lot of pressure to, you know, either win your first round or win your second round if you lost your first and get that seat as 6 of our 8 players in the top 8 are going to end up qualifying for Worlds, and 2 of them are sitting right here on your screen. So they've got to breathe a sigh of relief, but then, there's a competitive edge that you need to have to kind of get back on the horse and say, no, I am not done here. I've accomplished a lot, but there's still a tournament to win and really regain your focus. It can be hard to have that edge when you kind of feel like you've accomplished so much already.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the number one thing once you kind of make the top 8 for them was to pick up that one win, right? That one win, lock your seat into Worlds. But at the same time, too, I mean, Simon's done it before, right? He's a former Pro Tour champion, but sure would look nice to have a second trophy to kind of add to your mantle here.
Yeah, Simon quite famously won in San Diego in 2010. He won with Jund. That kind of gave me an early look at Simon's personality before I ever met him, but he's the sledgehammer, right? He's just a workhorse. You and I had the pleasure of working with Simon on the coverage team for a number of years, and he is awesome. Really, really great guy to work with. Really good at commentary as well. He understands the underpinnings of the game, not just the surface level stuff like, hey, this card's better than this one, or here's the choice you want to make. But he knows why. Like, he can explain to you, what's really happening kind of at the game mechanical level. I think that just gives him a big advantage when it comes to situations like this.
Yeah, I mean, the way that he was able to break stuff down and explain things would make me feel very dumb. Let's just put it that way. He would say something and I'd go, oh, wow, yeah. Yeah, you said it way better than I ever would have.
Like, actually, that makes a lot of sense. Wow.
Yeah.
Good point, Simon.
You're very smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing to note here in this matchup is Simon has already faced Yo before in this matchup, and Yo came out ahead 2-1 in the matchup. Now, again, after sideboard, things get a lot better. You can see there, right? You see a Braid, you see multiple Brazen Borrowers, and the counter spells. So those are all ways to try to break apart the combo. If you go for Indomitable Creativity on a token and you respond by killing the token or bouncing the token with Petty Theft, well, that's one less copy of Sarah's Emissary. So, Yo, to play around that is going to want to set up a creativity for 2 or 3 to try to play around Disruption.
Yeah, you see the sideboard plan coming in for Yo as well, as they've brought in Rest in Peace and had one in the opener, perfect, and then drew another one, perhaps a little less perfect. But with a Dragon's Rage Channeler to kick things off, yes, that card gets a lot better if you have your graveyard, as it can become a 3/3 flyer, but you still get the static ability. It's not the worst. Filter through your draw steps.
Yeah. There has to be some way to track your win rate when you run at Dragon's Rage Channeler. I mean, this card is just so incredible, and it does everything that you would want out of this deck.
It's incredible that you get that for
yard.
Right, for 1 mana, you get all that.
It's insane.
Yeah. Confirmed. It comes in for 1. And,
Insanity confirmed.
Insanity confirmed. Down to 19 falls Yo. And they're going to run out Rest in Peace here, so that's going to change things at least a bit. But we will also note the Crackling Drake in hand here for Simon. He's going to be able to sidestep that Rest in Peace. It doesn't care where the cards are at, exile or graveyard, and it could be a massive threat as well.
Yeah, but this Rest in Peace will still be pretty effective. It'll prevent Simon from getting Delirium for the Dragon's Rage Channeler, so that really slows down the clock. And then, of course, Arclight Phoenix, right? You don't have to worry about that just coming into play and attacking in for a ton of damage from the graveyard as well. So really effective card, but as you mentioned, there is that other angle of attack here. You see basically kind of the evolution of this Jeskai Phoenix deck really just slowly ticking up more and more copies of this Crackling Drake as more and more people have started to put Graveyard Hate into their decks.
Yeah, Simon's got to be happy about this. He's brought 3 in from the sideboard, and he's already drawn 2 of them over the course of this game. And that is a type of card that if you can set your opponent off balance even a little, we've seen Crackling Drakes this weekend be, over 20 power.
Yeah. 22-4, I believe, was something like that.
Not a bad record. And, you know, this one's going to be huge already. The ones that we're going to start seeing come down next turn.
Yeah, so if you look at Yo's hand, they do have the answer for one of them, right? There is that Justice Strike. So the Justice Strike will be able to kill one of the Drakes. But yeah, then they're going to need to find an answer for that second Drake pretty soon.
Yeah, the Magma Opus would also do the job, though.
A little far from
little
that.
slower. a little bit slower.
Just wait till I get to 8.
Yeah. I'll see you there. All right, but here we go. The first Crackling Drake's going to come in at a cool 7-4 for 4, and Simon gets to draw a card off of it as well. You can see how this is so powerful. Now, before there's any nonsense, though, Yo says, let's just get that thing off the battlefield. So away it goes. Delver of Secrets for Simon. Ooh, unexpected windfall off the top here for Yo.
Great. So now, I mean, given that Simon's list plays a good number of counter magic, Yo might want to just run out this windfall main phase here so that it doesn't get countered. It's really important for them to get the treasure tokens in play and also just try to find those creativities.
Yeah, you know, we were talking about Magma Opus being quite a bit down the line, but I'll tell you what, an unexpected windfall, that'll shore that up pretty quickly for Yo.
Good in all formats.
Really great top deck there for Yo Akaike. They get to get rid of the redundant Rest in Peace as well, card that they didn't really want in their hand, so really nice.
And hey, check it out here now. We were kind of making fun, but we're 2 lands away from hardcasting that Magma Opus.
That's what I was saying. I mean, we're almost right there. Great turn here, though, for Simon. He can pick a 1-drop of his choice and even pair it with a Crackling Drake as well to just add a nice bit of power. Oh, but it looks like he's going to go for Faithless Looting instead.
Oh. Yeah, really interesting. I think Simon is really concerned about the combo here and wants to find some way to disrupt the Indomitable creativity. So looking for Ether Gust, Mystical Dispute, cards of that sort.
This is one of the things that you get by playing the deck that Yo chose, right? They chose this combo deck, and look, they've got nothing going on with the combo. Magma Opus, Spikefield Hazard, 2 lands. Simon could have added like 8 or 9 power to the board this turn, but Simon has to respect the possibility of just, oops, I lose, and is going to pump the brakes and allow Yo quite a bit of extra time here.
And Simon was able to find at least one card to kind of break apart the creativity for 2 here, right?
That's right.
Simon's got the Abrade for one of the tokens. But again, I mean, this Rest in Peace doing work. I mean, you have to imagine this Dragon's Rage Channeler would have been a 3/3 at this point, right?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, Simon's had a great draw. He's been able to just load up the theoretical graveyard. Ooh, there's Brazen Borrower. So now Abrade plus Brazen Borrower does give you protection, but there's one little ingredient missing here, Paul, and it's a clock. The 2 power from the Dragon Rage Channelers just isn't getting it done.
And it's really awkward because if Simon continues to respect the fact that Yo might have creativity in hand, he's not going to play that Crackling Drake anytime soon, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he found a land here, that would have been great because then he would have been able to play Crackling Drake and still keep up Petty Theft or Abrade.
Well,
but he wasn't, so.
He can keep the smashing. Just play that one.
Can play the smashing, but I can't imagine.
Oh, but no land off the iter. Oh, that's tough. Yeah, so that if Simon wants to, he can put it into his hand. I don't think he can play it as a land from exile, though, right?
You can.
Oh, you can. Okay, so he's good then.
Yeah.
So then he'll be able to leave up Petty Theft and Abrade.
Right, and just continue to get in for 1, but won't be playing the Crackling Drake here just yet. And that Mystical Dispute was a really, really big find here because now you can counter Magma Opus for just a single blue.
Right. So Simon, you know, as far as shields up goes, is looking quite strong here, right? He's spent the last 2 turns crafting his hand and has done so effectively. There's Mystical Dispute, Abrade, and Petty Theft now to kind of break up any nonsense. It's just the clock that's missing. The 2 from the channelers is adding up a little bit.
Is it Spikefield time?
Probably prefer to use that on a Delver, but you can't just take 2 forever.
Yeah, I mean, also just the fact that having the channelers in play just means that Simon can make sure that he continues to find action on top, right? If there's a land, he can just bin it, and then he can just continue finding more counter spells, more abrades, more brazen borrowers. But Simon's aware of the deck list. He is aware of the ways that he can lose from this position, right? And the 2 cards that he's probably thinking about are Magma Opus and Indomitable Creativity. So just needs to make sure that he's aware that those are cards that Yo can play.
Boy, this Delver of Secrets was nice. He finally got Yo to use up the Spikefield Hazard and then immediately played the Delver of Secrets. If that thing can transform, now there's a real clock here for Simon. And interestingly enough, Yo has really nothing going on still outside of the Magma Opus, which is likely to gobble up a Mystical Dispute. We just haven't seen Indomitable Creativity in hand here for Yo. They just can't seem to find it.
Yeah, and taking a look, can Yo get to a point where they can maybe play around the Dispute? We're looking at 9 mana, so still 2 turns away. Because this Izzet Phoenix deck really doesn't play a whole lot of hard counters.
A lot of it's going to be on this right here, and it is going to transform into Insectile Aberration. I think that was the difference, Paul. If the Insectile Aberration wasn't transformed, then Yo's taking 1. Now it's going to be 3 instead, and that's going to be a clock that really must be dealt with. Down to 10 goes Yo. Mystical Dispute, but Simon has left up all of his mana.
And Yo, really not, if you think about it, really not drawing much this game, just lands, right? There was a Rest in Peace, a Hard Evidence, and what, a Spikefield Hazard? I mean...
It's been a very rough draw for Yo. They just have not been able to put anything relevant out. Well, here comes Magma Opus, though, as I say that, and this is going to be a disaster.
Yeah,
for Yo.
I mean, with the Delver flipping, they need to do something.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Simon's just going to go, I can do one of 2 things here, right? Because the other option is going for Gust. But I imagine if with the Gust, you can still just save that for a potential creativity. Simon's going to counter this. It's just a matter of which counter he chooses to go for here. Do you Gust or do you Dispute? Additionally, could also choose...
Simon's client might have frozen on him.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I noticed that there was no animation going, so I think Simon's going to do a quick restart of his client is going to be my assumption here. Simon's a cool customer.
So as we wait for Simon to reload here, after the counterspell, the other thing that he can potentially do here is run out the Brazen Borrower. Although that still won't be lethal, right? Because the Crab does block the Dragon's Rage Channeler. Could get Yo down to 1, and I don't think Simon has any burn spells. So maybe it's better if in that case to just hold the Brazen Borrower to potentially stop creativity.
Okay. But here's the Mystical Dispute. Simon's back. And that'll take care of the most pressing issue here, which is that Magma Opus on the stack from Yo.
Oh, yeah, and this should seal it up here.
What was it? Oh, he hit a negate?
That's a negate on top here for Simon Görtzen.
Oh, that Spikefield Hazard a little late. Now it can't take out the Insectile Aberration, and that's the real clock here.
Yeah, I mean, I I guess Yo's just considering firing off this hazard on the Dragon's Rage Channeler.
Just to get the static ability off the
Yeah.
battlefield. Boy, I'd be pretty bummed. I'm looking over at Simon's hand. 6 spells. Didn't play a land last turn. It's just
Right.
like, and let's just add a 7th. Look at that hand from Görtzen. It's incredible.
And also just playing it so patiently here. Of course, us as viewers, we knew that Yo didn't have anything, but Simon just had that Crackling Drake in hand the entire time.
There's an Anger of the Gods off the top for Yo. And they're just going to throw it on the stack, but Simon has answers.
Ooh, this is tough if you're Simon. Do you just go with the counter, or do you just let this resolve just to make sure that Yo can't combo off this turn, and then just maybe try to go with an end-of-turn Brazen Borrower with negate backup? If that happens, Yo does have a Spike Field hazard for the Borrower.
It's also not lethal, right? Like
right.
Yo sitting at 4, there would be a whole nother untap step in there. But look at this. Simon is going to allow that to happen.
It's 3-1 time.
Let's see what happens. Simon's going to play Petty Theft on Rest in Peace. But is he going to run out the Borrower here? Yes. And there is a good answer in hand here. For Yo, they've got the Spike Field hazard to take it down. There's no more pressure now from Simon. How are we thinking about this, Paul? Ooh, Arclight Phoenix. Oh, would have been lethal too.
And so this is also the turn after Rest in Peace was bounced.
True.
So Simon could potentially go for a Faithless Looting here and try to string something together. Oh, if you can find a second Phoenix here from the iteration, then discard it. This could be lethal.
Right, he could get 2 copies of Phoenix down. I'm assuming the Pillar of Flames aren't in the list anymore for Simon. I don't know that for sure.
I can't imagine, as it's just the 2 damage burn spell that goes to the face in this matchup.
So he didn't hit off the iteration, but remember, there's still a Faithless Looting. Things start to get a little sketchy now for Simon.
Yeah, well, the big thing here is Simon really wants to have both Gust and Negate available to play around combo plus Dispute backup or something along those lines. Exactly. And if you go for the opt here, there is a land exiled. There is a land exiled, so still could at least play one of the 1-mana spells.
Okay, then Faithless Looting goes on the stack. That would, in the worst case, leave Simon with 4 mana back. And if he can hit a Phoenix here, he could just seal the deal.
Could, but what's really interesting is if he doesn't hit a second Phoenix, does he play an opt and only allow himself 1 counter?
Oh, he hit a second Phoenix, Paul. He hit it. I guess that makes that opt play a lot easier, doesn't it? Now, is there a way that this backfires, though, on Simon?
Well, no, because there's just Mystical Dispute here from Yo.
Well, we know that. I'm saying it's from Simon's seat. Does he have to play around anything?
Well, I mean, Yo would have to have a removal spell.
Okay. And this is interesting. Simon's going to get more aggressive here. Go for a Braid to make it so that Yo doesn't have 2 targets to hit, even if there were an Indomitable Creativity coming in. By the way, going to also present 2 lethal flyers, and that is going to be game number 2 going to Simon Görtzen. Wow, what a performance from him. Remember when we were talking earlier in the game about the power level of those Crackling Drakes, and he drew 2 of them. He played one of them early. The other one never left his hand. He kept up counter magic and interaction for the duration of the game. And I got to say, big props to Delver of Secrets there, right? It transformed on the first time after he played it, and it was really the difference maker in getting that clock up to speed.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the big advantage of playing a win condition like that, right? Because it allows you to just run it out, the low cost of 1 mana, meaning, at even outside of turn 1, you draw at turn 5 or 6, you're playing against a combo deck, you really can't afford to tap out and cast a Crackling Drake at that point, right? But with Delver, you can run it out and still make sure you have all those forms of disruption available, and then at some point, it's gonna flip, and then it's gonna start clocking the opponent.
What an interesting game too, because if you look back, Yo had nothing going on. They just had a horrible draw. You know, the first like really relevant spell was Magma Opus going on the stack. And you know, if Simon could have seen Yo's hand, that game would have been over a long, long time ago. But the threat of the combo is very real. If you leave your shields down, from Simon's perspective, you can just be locked out of the game in one turn.
Yeah, and that's also some of the tricky thing about being in Simon's position there is, yeah, you do need to make sure you have a clock, right? So if you have nothing, you do need to kind of put yourself in a situation where you do have to play the Drake, you have to play all these cards, and a lot of times in this matchup, it comes down to how much mana your opponent has available, thinking about all the different ways they can disrupt what you're trying to do, and then fighting through all of that, right? And because
That's
Simon's
right.
the deck with all the creatures, there could be an instance where Yo finds kind of that window to try to go off when Simon has to play a threat.
Simon's got an interesting decision here. He's got a one lander with a Delver and an Opt, and then effectively 3 2-mana spells. It's pretty tempting to keep it.
You got to
He's
keep
also
this.
on the draw, so
Yeah.
he's going to keep it. And let's see how this goes. Raugrin Triumph will kick things off for Akaike as they pass their turn back over to Simon, who finds, a red card, Dragon Rage Channeler. Here's Delver of Secrets.
Turn one Delver.
Turn one Delver, but there's a Rest in Peace. Now, that's not going to affect the Delver particularly, but it could certainly affect the rest of the hand here, especially the Arclight Phoenix that Zimon has. But this is big. A, is it a land, and B, does it transform Delver? I guess a creature would probably be the worst case here.
Yeah, that looks like it's a Mystical Dispute, which is
Yeah.
a pretty good card in the matchup.
Yeah, and it will transform
And
the
Simon
Delver. And there's also an Opt on upkeep here, trying to get a land in the hand. Let's see.
looks at a land, needs a land here. Looked at 4 cards.
Oh, and it's a Crackling Drake after a Delver.
Oh, that is rough.
So the only good news for Simon is that it is a transformed Delver here, Insectal Aberration bashing, that doesn't care about Rest in Peace, but it's gonna care about Anger of the Gods.
Yeah, or Prismari Command here. I mean, you can go Prismari Command, 2 damage and make a treasure, right? You got that creativity here set up.
Boy, tough beats there for Simon Görtzen. He saw a lot of cards off the top of the library. Dragon's Rage Channeler, Delver of Secrets, and a Crackling Drake were the top 3.
Oh, interesting. Deciding between Anger and Prismari Command. I think part of with what Yo has in hand, they really want to use probably the looting effect on Prismari Command. I think they want to go loot and make a treasure with Prismari Command, so choosing to go with Anger of the Gods here instead.
Okay, there's a Fabled Passage off the top. Now, not perfect, but Simon will certainly take it.
It's a land.
As it's a land, and it can be a red mana source for Expressive Iteration or to get Dragon Rage Channeler going or whatever. There's also a follow-up Delver of Secrets, which is worth noting. If that thing transforms, clock's back on again, but you gotta favor Yo Akaike here, as they are gonna kill this Delver of Secrets with Prismari Command and also make a treasure. You got the Indomitable Creativity. The rest of the hand's junk, right? It's another Rest in Peace and a Sarah's Emissary, but hey, you don't need that much. Pieces of the puzzle are coming together.
Okay, and that's another land here for Simon.
Simon's going to play Expressive Iteration.
But keep in mind here, this means that the coast is clear for a creativity for 1. Right?
Is that good enough?
It's a good question, but at the same time, when you're playing against a deck that's bringing in all the disruption that Simon has access to, maybe it's your best bet. Maybe you just go creativity for instance, so you can't bounce my creature, and then I just have a 7/7 flyer.
Right? That seems very difficult to beat. One interesting thing that could come up in that scenario is Crackling Drake. Could tussle with it. Here we go. Indomitable Creativity for Yo Akaike is going to find the Sarah's Emissary and name instant. And that means that Yo and their creatures will have protection from instants. But that does not preclude Görtzen finding ways to interact by combat.
That is true.
And look at this. Not a great draw here of the rest of the way for Yo.
It's time to race. I mean, that Crackling Drake isn't that big right now, right? This is a 2-turn clock here, and Yo has a Pact of Negation for the follow-up Crackling Drake here.
How about the follow-up?
How about the follow-up?
The question is, can Simon get these Crackling Drakes turbocharged up to 7 power? It can do it very quickly, especially when you have cards like Faithful Saluting in your hand like Simon does. Simon's recovered on the mana front. Has 4 mana, another one to give.
Yeah, it just comes down to whether or not Simon has the time, right? Because you just have to imagine that Yo's going to counter this second Crackling Drake.
I think Simon might have the time. Because if this one gets countered, Simon could even chump block and then just cast another one. Again, it needs to be 7 power. Like 6 isn't going to do it. It's got to get up to 7 power. But, you know, with cards like Faithful Saluting, you can do it.
Yeah, yeah. Also keep in mind, though, if you're on Yo's side, you're 2 lands away from just playing out the other emissary, right?
And that should do it if
that locks it up.
Yeah. Lots of pressure on Simon Görtzen here. Also an interesting draw there off the Faithful Saluting, Paul. He had another Delver. That could be a chump blocker for a turn.
Yeah, and with the Sarah's Emissary in play, you just have to be a bit more proactive here, right? You just play stuff at this point, or you're going to die to that 7/7 that's on the battlefield.
Right, but look at the scenario now. Pact of Negation is going to eat up all the mana for Yo, and Görtzen has another Crackling Drake to play next turn, and he'll have 2 4/4s versus a 7/7, and he'll actually be stable. Precariously stable, I will say.
Yeah. Yo's got a lot of cards.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that puts Simon in a good position to win, but it means he's not just dead next turn. There's the second Crackling Drake. They're both 4/4s and a Consider.
It has Mystical Dispute up.
Oh boy, this is going to be really close, Paul, because if Simon can actually get the Crackling Drakes up to 11 and just be able to turn them sideways, he can steal a win. But you can see that Akaike, for starters, has a lot of draw steps at their disposal, but also that second copy of Sarah's Emissary could very much hit the battlefield, name creature, and just call it a game.
Yeah, I mean, these Crackling Drakes can just provide lethal. Yo might just have to chump, right? Yo might just have to block one of these if enough cards get exiled. There's a Mystical Dispute here, and with that Consider?
Yeah. I mean, it also could be lethal Crackling Drake. Now, you're not going to go from 4 to 11 by next turn, but it can happen, you know, that over the course of the next couple of turns.
Okay.
Oh boy, this one's gotten very interesting. Simon Görtzen hanging on, but Yo Akaike.
Big consider here.
Let's see what we find. Channeler also helping to add to the power of the Crackling Drakes.
Okay, yeah, that was great. I think that was an expressive iteration.
Whatever it was, it pumped them up again. That was a land.
Yeah, and that's 7. And then, let's see.
10 with an Arclight?
Arclight Phoenix.
Can you Ether Gust your own Channeler? This is a force block because they got up to 7 power. And down to 4 goes Akaike. Has Simon pulled off the comeback here, Paul?
I believe so. Yo needed an untapped land here to be able to hardcast the Sarah's Emissary in hand. So needs to crack this clue and find an answer to this Crackling Drake.
And they only find a Spire Bluff Canal. It's not enough.
Wow.
Oh, Crackling Drake times 3, by the way. It took 3 Crackling Drakes for Simon. Yeah, good. All 3 to come back here. And it looks like he's pulled off the implausible comeback against Akaike and their indomitable creativity that actually got a Sarah's Emissary on the battlefield.
And it looks like we have...
An Arclight Phoenix adds an additional lethal threat here, as it plus the Dragon's Rage Channeler would be enough if even the Crackling Drake were to die. Yo says, I'm done here, and Zealand Görtzen pulls off the victory. What a comeback for Simon.
Yeah, no, that was pretty incredible. I mean, keep in mind the things that happened in that game, right? Simon goes turn 1 Delver, misses his second land drop.
Yes!
Right? Misses his second land drop, and Yo is able to get an emissary onto the battlefield with nearly an empty board.